I used to believe that money was this mysterious, elusive thing, something only those people had. You know the type, the ones born into it, or the ones who just got lucky. People who didn't look like me, didn't grow up where I grew up, didn't carry the same kind of survival in their blood. And so early on, I accepted a truth that was never mine to accept, that I was meant to struggle. That broke was just part of the identity. That dreaming big was a setup for disappointment. That just enough was a blessing. That poverty was piety and wealth was greed. That working hard was noble, but thinking big was naive. Nobody said these words out loud, but I heard them anyway, in the quiet shame when rent was due, in the side eyes when I talked about building a business, in the internal panic when someone mentioned a savings account. The broke mindset is sneaky. It sounds like, be realistic. Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. And my favorite, people like us don't get rich. Let me tell you what that mindset did to me. It made me chase pennies while stepping over possibilities. It had me working 3 jobs, exhausted, yet still struggling to pay for peace of mind. It had me clipping coupons while ignoring the truth that wealth is created in the mind long before it shows up in the bank. I was playing financial defense, never offense, always reacting to bills, emergencies, survival, never planning, never planting seeds, just putting out fires I didn't even light. And then came the rock bottom, because there always is one, and it looks different for everybody, but mine. It was a Tuesday, gray sky, tired spirit. An overdraft email hit my inbox like a gut punch. I had $4.37 in my account. Rent was 3 days late. I had maxed out my credit card buying groceries. And I remember sitting on the floor, back against a wall I couldn't afford to keep standing, thinking, how did I get here? Why do I work so hard and still feel like I'm drowning? That moment, it wasn't just a financial low, it was a belief bottom out, a soul level awakening. Because deep down, I knew I wasn't meant for this cycle. I wasn't lazy, I wasn't stupid, I wasn't cursed. I was simply conditioned to fear money, to resent it, to believe that being good meant staying small, and that being wealthy meant being greedy. But what if that was all a lie? What if the beliefs I inherited weren't the truth, just survival scripts passed down through generations who never had the luxury of thinking differently? And that's when something cracked, not just in my bank account, in my mindset. I stopped asking, why am I broke? And started asking, what does wealth even mean to me? Because maybe wealth isn't just about dollars. Maybe it's about choice, about freedom, about waking up without dread, about breaking the cycle for the ones coming after me. So I made a decision, not a change yet, just a decision, a sacred, trembling vow. I will not pass this mindset down. I will not stay here. I will figure out another way. And let me be honest with you. The decision was the easy part. The shift, that took time. It took deprogramming every sentence I ever heard about money. It took confronting shame I didn't even know I was carrying. It took forgiving myself for what I didn't know, for what I avoided, for what I settled for. But this part, this first step, is where it all begins. Not with more money, not with a better job, not with a miracle check in the mail. It begins with awareness, with seeing the old blueprint for what it is, an outdated map drawn by people who never made it out of the maze. And I want you to hear this. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are not bad with money. You've just been playing a game with the wrong rule book. And now you get to choose a new one. Because it's not too late. It's not too far gone. And you're not too behind. The moment you begin to question your beliefs, you begin to shift your reality. That's what I wish I knew sooner. That mindset isn't woo-woo. It's not fluff. It's the foundation.
They don't tell you that the most expensive thing you'll ever own is a scarcity mindset. It costs you peace. It costs you time. It costs you every open door you were too afraid to walk through. And the wildest part, you carry it like it's normal, like it's just how life is. But I started to realize life wasn't hard because of life. Life was hard because of my lens. I'd been looking at the world through fear-stained glasses, and everything I saw looked like a lack. I saw competition instead of collaboration, bills instead of blessings, obstacles instead of opportunities, risk instead of reward. That's what scarcity does. It trains your brain to seek survival. It wires your nervous system to expect not enough. Not enough money, not enough time, not enough help, not enough you. So I had to get radical with myself. I had to start questioning everything I believed was true about money. I asked myself, is it true that I always have to struggle? Is it true that money is hard to come by? Is it true that rich people are bad, or just the ones I was told to resent? And slowly, painfully, honestly, the answer started to fall apart. Because no, those things weren't true. They were taught, they were absorbed, they were hand-me-down beliefs, inherited through silence, struggle, and repetition. But belief is not blood. You don't have to keep carrying it. You don't owe loyalty to your limitations. So I started small, because rewiring your brain doesn't happen in one motivational moment. It happens in the micro decisions. It happens in the pause between thought and reaction. When I caught myself saying, I can't afford that, I replaced it with, that's not in my budget yet, but I'm working on changing that. When I thought, people like me don't get ahead, I paused and corrected. People like me are breaking generational cycles, starting with me. And when I felt envy rise up watching someone else succeed, I shifted into gratitude. Their success shows me what's possible. Their abundance is evidence that it can happen for me too. This didn't feel natural at first. In fact, it felt like lying to myself, but eventually it stopped being fake and started being faith. I began to notice abundance in places I used to overlook. Sunlight hitting my face during a walk, a friend texting just to check in, someone giving me a free coffee for no reason, a random client paying early. Little things, but they mattered because abundance speaks quietly at first. You have to tune in to hear it. And the more I tuned in, the more I noticed wealth around me. Not just in money, but in love, connection, breath, creativity. Scarcity says, there's not enough. You better fight to survive. But abundance says there's more than enough. And your portion is on its way. I realized the difference between those two voices wasn't external. It wasn't in my job. It wasn't in my bank balance. It was inside me, in my perspective, in my thoughts, in my energy. So I kept doing the work, kept showing up differently. I started saving $5 a week, not because it would make me rich, but because it was a declaration to my brain. I do have money to save. I am someone who builds wealth. I journaled every morning, writing, money flows to me easily and often. I am worthy of abundance. My mindset is attracting miracles. And slowly, my beliefs began to catch up to my words. And then, my reality did too. A surprise refund check, a new client out of nowhere, an idea that turned into income. Small wins, yes, but they added up. Because when you shift from scarcity to abundance, the universe doesn't just whisper back, it echoes. One of the hardest parts of this journey was letting go of the guilt. Guilt for wanting more. Guilt for leaving people behind. Guilt for desiring ease, joy, overflow. But let me say this loud and clear. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to succeed. You are allowed to break cycles, build wealth, and feel good doing it. You don't owe your loyalty to poverty just because it's familiar. You don't have to dim your light to make others comfortable. You were not born to scrape by. You were born to expand. And that expansion begins the moment you say, I no longer subscribe to the scarcity story. That's what I wish I knew sooner. That money mindset isn't about manifesting yachts unless you want one. It's about freedom. Freedom to choose, freedom to rest, freedom to dream without shame. And here's the wild part. You don't have to wait until you're wealthy to think like a wealthy person. You think like one now, so that the actions, decisions, and energy that come with that mindset pull you forward into the life you're building. Abundance is a frequency, and once you start vibrating with it, it can't help but find you. But there came a moment when I stopped chasing wealth and started embodying it. Because wealth isn't something you run after, it's something you align with. Not later, not after your next paycheck, not when you finally make it, but now, in this moment, with who you already are. And that realization changed everything. See, I used to think money was the end goal, the finish line, the ultimate prize for working hard and proving my worth. But wealth is not the destination. It's the byproduct of a certain way of thinking, believing, and being. It's the overflow that comes when you stop living in fear and start living in alignment. I had to redefine what rich meant to me. Because if I kept chasing the world's version, more things, more status, more hustle, I'd never feel full. I'd just stay on the treadmill, running in place, burning out for breadcrumbs. So I asked myself, what does true wealth actually look like in my life? And the answers surprised me. True wealth looked like waking up without anxiety, like paying bills with gratitude, not dread, like having time for the people I love instead of trading every minute for money. True wealth was freedom. It was peace. It was purpose. It was alignment. And once I knew that, once I felt that, I stopped chasing noise and started choosing truth. Perspective is a powerful thing. It's the lens that colors your entire world. Before, I saw setbacks as punishments, proof that I was failing, evidence that I'd never get ahead. But when I shifted my perspective, setbacks became lessons. They became redirections. They became teachers wrapped in discomfort. I started asking different questions. Instead of, why is this happening to me? I asked, what is this teaching me? What is this preparing me for? That one shift changed the energy of everything. Even in my lowest moments, when the account was low and the doubt was high, I reminded myself, this moment isn't the end. It's a turning point. Something is being rearranged in my favor. And over time, I began to trust something deeper, not just in money, but in divine timing. Gratitude became my daily practice, not just a list in a notebook, but a way of seeing the world. I stopped waiting for big miracles to feel grateful. I looked for tiny ones, the warm sun on my skin, a compliment from a stranger, the sound of my own laughter, the clarity that came after a good cry. I realized if you can't be grateful for $1, you won't be grateful for 1,000,000, because abundance isn't a number, it's an energy. And gratitude is what tunes you to that frequency. Visualization changed me too. I used to think it was silly. Just imagine a better life and it'll appear. Yeah, right. But I didn't realize I was already visualizing every day. I was just visualizing failure. I was rehearsing worst case scenarios in my head like they were movies I paid to watch. So I flipped the script. I started visualizing possibility. I closed my eyes and saw myself thriving, smiling, in flow, living in ease, not effort. And something inside me shifted because the brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. So I imagined joy. I imagined wealth. I imagined walking into rooms like I belonged. And slowly, I started becoming the person I saw. Challenges still came. Life didn't suddenly become perfect, but my response to life did. I learned that obstacles aren't barriers, they're bridges. They invite you to rise, to trust, to get creative, to stretch beyond your current self. Every time I faced something hard, I stopped saying, this is too much. And I started saying, this is growing me. This is expanding my capacity to hold abundance. And that was the truth, because wealth isn't just about receiving more, it's about becoming someone who can sustain more. Here's a truth no one tells you. The wealth you're calling in will require a new version of you, not because who you are now is wrong, but because wealth requires wholeness. It requires healing. It requires belief. It requires clarity. That's the journey I was really on, not just to make more money, but to become someone who could carry wealth with wisdom. I began to live by this simple phrase, it's already mine. Not in an arrogant way, but in a faith-filled way. The opportunities, the breakthroughs, the peace, the impact, the joy, it's already mine. I started showing up like the version of me who had already received the blessing. I dressed like her, spoke like her, made decisions like her, loved like her, and slowly the world responded because the universe mirrors your energy. It brings into form what you already believe is true about yourself. So, what do you believe? That you're meant to barely get by, to live in fear, to constantly struggle? Or do you believe you are chosen, capable, and destined for overflow? Because when you change what you believe, you change what you allow. Changing your mindset is powerful, but keeping it changed, that's where the real work begins. See, it's one thing to have a breakthrough. It's another thing entirely to live from that breakthrough. Old patterns don't just disappear overnight. They creep in quietly. When the bills pile up, when fear whispers again, when doubt tries to sit at the head of your table like it used to. But now I know how to spot it. Now I know it's not me. It's just an old echo from a life I don't live anymore. And that's the key, to recognize the voice of the old you without giving it the authority it used to have. Sustaining this new wealth mindset means committing to it daily, even when it's hard, even when the world tempts you to shrink again, even when the external hasn't caught up yet to what you're believing on the inside. Because this is not just a phase. This is not just a TikTok trend. This is a lifestyle transformation. You are no longer available for scarcity, smallness, or shame around money. You are building a new foundation based on self-trust, vision, and divine alignment. And it's okay if you slip. We all do. But now you know how to return, how to recenter, how to remember who you are. Some days I still get triggered. A random comment, a delay in a payment, a moment when I question if I'm really doing enough. But I come back to this truth. I am worthy, regardless of what's in my bank account. I am abundant because I carry abundance within me. I do not chase. I attract by being in alignment. And when I speak those affirmations, I feel myself rise again. This journey is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about returning again and again to the wealth within you and allowing it to shape your outer world. One of the biggest lessons I've learned? Patience. Patience is prosperity's secret ingredient because in a world of instant gratification, learning to wait well is a superpower, not waiting passively, but waiting expectantly. With hope, with certainty, with excitement for what's unfolding, because now I know every delay is not a denial. Every slow season is not a punishment. It's preparation. It's alignment. It's timing. Wealth that arrives too soon can crush you. Wealth that arrives in divine time can sustain generations. So I don't rush anymore. I prepare. I expand my capacity. I clean up my beliefs. I move like the miracle is already on its way. And you want to know something wild? The more I celebrated the small wins, the faster the big ones came. When I said thank you for the extra $20, I started seeing $200. When I rejoiced over one new client, more seemed to flow in effortlessly because the universe responds to energy, and nothing amplifies wealth energy like genuine gratitude and celebration. So celebrate everything. The closed sale, the paid invoice, the friend who sent you a referral, the moment you didn't spiral when you normally would have. That's growth. That's wealth. Now, I want to talk directly to you. Yes, you, the person watching this, the one with the big heart, the vision, the hunger for more. You are not greedy for wanting to thrive. You are not selfish for desiring freedom. You are not delusional for believing life can feel better than this. You were born with an inheritance of abundance. It's your birthright, and it's your responsibility to claim it. So today, I challenge you not to hustle harder, not to manifest another check, but to go inward, to ask yourself, what do I still believe about money that no longer serves me? What am I ready to release so I can receive? Who do I need to become to hold the wealth I'm praying for? Write it down, speak it out loud, honor the truth that rises up. Because this isn't just a mindset shift, this is an identity shift. You are no longer the version of yourself who settles, who shrinks, who makes herself smaller to fit into rooms she was meant to lead. This is your time. This is your moment. The struggle taught you, the scarcity refined you, but the abundance, the overflow, that's your next chapter, and you don't have to chase it. You only have to align. So breathe it in. Feel it now. Visualize your wealth. Bless your money. Bless your opportunities. Bless your name, your mind, your hands, because everything you touch from this point forward is turning to gold, not by accident, not by luck, but because you chose to believe differently. And that choice, it changes everything. Final takeaway, your first step. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for a better time. Start now. Identify just one limiting belief about money that you're ready to challenge today. Write it down. Then reframe it into an empowering truth. Scarcity says, I'll never have enough. Abundance says, I always have everything I need and more is on the way. Scarcity says, I'm not qualified. Abundance says, I grow through action. I'm already enough. Scarcity says, I'll be judged if I succeed. Abundance says, my success inspires others. I'm meant to shine. This is your shift. This is your new normal. Welcome to the wealth mindset. You've walked with me through the shadows of scarcity, through the rewiring of the mind, through the realignment of the heart. Now we arrive at the part where the wealth isn't just an idea, it's who you are. You no longer just think differently, you move differently, you speak differently, you make decisions from faith, not fear. This is what the wealth frequency feels like. Check mark. You know that money is energy. You see opportunities everywhere. You've shifted from hustle to harmony. You don't wait for miracles. You become one. You're not waiting on external validation. You're not begging the universe to notice you. You know it already has. You've become a magnet, a vessel, a steward of abundance in all forms. And here's something they never tell you. Wealth will challenge you. It'll ask you to grow, to shed the old skin, to rise to the level of what you prayed for. Because wealth doesn't just fill your bank account. It stretches your spirit. It demands a version of you that can hold joy, responsibility, generosity, and vision at the same time. But here's the beautiful truth. You're ready for it. Because wealth doesn't come to you. It comes through you. You are the channel. You are the door. So how do you live the shift every day? Here's how I do it. Let this be your blueprint. 1. Morning alignment, prime the frequency. I start every morning with intention. Before I check my phone, before I open the door to the world, I open the door to truth. I say out loud, today, I align with abundance. Money loves to flow to me. I am a living testimony of overflow. I breathe in the vision. I feel into the success before it's visible. I anchor myself in gratitude, and from that space, my day becomes a response to wealth, not a chase for it. 2. Wealth journaling. Speak to the future. I write every single day. Sometimes affirmations, sometimes income goals, sometimes dreams so wild they make me laugh. But here's the secret. I write it like it's already done. I'm so grateful I earned $10,000 this month. I love seeing the payments come in with ease. I am in awe of how supported I feel. Because the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between imagined success and lived success. So I give it both. I let my brain rehearse abundance until it becomes second nature. 3. Audit the thoughts, rewrite the code throughout the day I listen, not to the noise of the world, but to the inner voice. Is she speaking from fear or faith, from lack or legacy? If I catch a thought like, that's too expensive, I pause and shift it to, how can I afford it if I wanted to? If I hear, what if I fail? I shift it to, what if this works better than I imagined? Because thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs become actions, and actions build your future. 4. Bless the flow. Sacred spending. Every time I spend money, I bless it. Whether it's a cup of coffee or a business investment, I speak over it. This returns to me multiplied. I circulate money joyfully. Money flows in and out like breath. Money is not a resource to be feared. It's a partner, a tool, a servant, not a master. I treat it like energy, and in return, it treats me with respect. 5. Make it about more than you. This was the biggest unlock of all. Wealth isn't just about your lifestyle, it's about your legacy. When I started viewing my money as a force for good, as a way to bless, build, and heal, the doors opened wide. Generosity rewired me. Giving became a ritual. Tithing, gifting, donating, not out of obligation, but out of celebration. I don't fear losing money because I know I'm always connected to the source that provides it. I am not my bank account. I am the conduit through which money moves. And when it flows to bless others, it always comes back multiplied. 6. Live like it's already yours. Want to know what abundance looks like in real time? It looks like confidence in chaos. It looks like rest in a world that glorifies burnout. It looks like knowing you're enough before the proof shows up. So I live from the end result. I make decisions as that future version of me. Would wealthy me say yes to this? Would abundant me waste time here? Would empowered me apologize for shining? If the answer's no, I walk away. If the answer's yes, I walk boldly. Because the wealth mindset isn't something I try on anymore. It's woven into my bones. Final words, you are the shift. Here's what I wish someone had told me sooner. You don't have to earn abundance. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to beg for blessings. You just have to decide that this version of you, the whole, healed, powerful one, is already enough. You're not chasing wealth. You're remembering it. You're not creating value. You are the value. So go forward with boldness, walk in alignment, speak with power, act with faith, because you were never meant to just survive. You were meant to thrive. You are the wealth. You are the frequency. You are the shift. Say it with me. This is my wealth era. I claim it. I align with it. I live it.